The Ayurveda approach, ancient empiric wisdom of the universal relationship of man and nature in the context of trauma. The focus of this part is to have a holistic view on the patient in order to allow a holistic treatment. However, the differentiation in diagnostic terms like trauma is difficult in the complex socio-philosophical medical context of Ayurveda. Eastern medical concepts, no matter if it is Ayurveda, Tibetan, or other Oriental medicine like Chinese, Korean, Japanese traditional medicine, are based on empirical research and at the same philosophical approaches towards life, death, health, happiness, and the function of the mind itself. Very different to Western biomedicine matters and facts, where philosophy is not a part of scientific research. Eastern traditional medicine is always embedded in a holistic concept. Individual well-being cannot be seen separated from the well-being of the family, community, or land. Environmental issues are as important as emotional or physical disturbances and recovery. The world and every being is always seen in a network context where a change somewhere causes changes in all other systems. A comparison, therefore, is difficult, if not impossible, as Western biomedical views are analytical, which means that they are breaking down a whole picture into the smallest parts, blood results, cell cultures, etc. While traditional Eastern medicine is inductive synthetical, by Manfred Porkert, 1996, meaning they're trying to integrate as many aspects as possible into the picture and are focusing on the connection of every part and the whole. Eastern medicine is therefore not considered to be an individualistic healing system, but always a holistic one. Traditional medicine, even Western traditional medicine or alternative medicine, have their own rules based on empirical wisdom and experience, close observation, and accepting results even out of the philosophical framework. However, to understand the fundamental differences in diagnosis and treatment, it is necessary to have an overview of Ayurvedic and yogic medical and philosophical terms and meanings. Empirical wisdom has been generated and collected over hundreds or even thousands of years, including innumerable case studies displaying success as well as failure. Empirical knowledge is not ideological. It serves no other than the interest of the patient themselves. If a system turns out to be inefficient over a period of time, it's most likely to disappear. Ayurveda and yoga display collections of wisdom and philosophy spanning several millennia. The effectiveness of ancient systems of knowledge and practice, such as Ayurveda and yoga, is proved by their continued existence. However, modern laboratory tests are used nowadays to prove claimed healing properties of herbal medicine or other medical inventions. An international research source for such tests is PubMed, the official American research platform that hosts a specific Ayurveda section. India itself as well keeps several research platforms that deal with modern analyzing laboratory research data. The question, however, is, brought up in an isolation of substances can truly reflect the holistic mindset and concept of medical intervention. To understand the inner core of Ayurveda or yogic wisdom, the Western mind has to undergo the challenge to rethink the body-mind relation. In the Shankya philosophical tradition, there is no separation between body and mind. The Cartesian influence has divided the living being in two entities. Ayurveda and yoga state there's a continuum of interrelation, of density, subtleness, from the finest aspects of the being to the grossest, but there are no separate sections, as if they could ever exist separately. However, Professor Ram Manohar states that there's a concept of psychiatry in Ayurveda which comes into play once the emotional factors of the person are shattered. By Ram Manohar, 2018. In the sciences and concepts of yoga and Ayurveda, the function of the mind and body continuum are revealed in clear terms as well as in practical guidance. Empirical knowledge and hundreds of techniques for self-inquiry are laid out. Starting from social and metaphysical thinking in yoga through the yamas and niyamas, in other words, how to react responsible towards oneself and the community, and the physical exercise in yoga, asana, to deep meditation, dhyana, and final liberation, samadhi, from breathing inquiry, pranayama, to daily routine, dinacharya, detailed description of practice, cause and effect are structured and explained. Ahara, vihara, nutrition and lifestyle are the pillars of a system of rules, ethics, and all of that follows philosophical outlines. The often used meaning of the word yoga is unity or connection. Ayurveda could be translated as the science of life and death. The richness of philosophies of India have not disappeared or been replaced by historical influences. Every new episode in the history of the huge subcontinent has added to the richness of beliefs, customs and manners. In fact, India provides a spectrum of beliefs and philosophies till the recent day that can be described as an experience of diversity. These experiences are joined together into one bigger and multi-diverse picture. This picture reflects and incorporates the multiple changes of society through invaders, natural disasters, golden ages, within a historical timeline from the ancient past to present day. It accepts and integrates traditions from the highest university standards to lab tests to procedures that are summarized under the name of shamanism. From rasa shadis, refining of toxic substances so they lose their toxicity, to reciting mantras. From touch and massage therapy to sexual therapy and child wish, Vajrakarana. In India's medical tradition, Ayurveda as well as yoga, it is possible to renounce the world or indulge fully but consciously into all its temptations. Indian philosophies are allowing everything to be integrated into the picture of life and meaning. Spanning from the high altitudes of the Himalayas of Jammu and Kashmir and its influences from other Oriental traditions like Tibetan, Mongolian, Chinese traditional medicine, down to the damp swamps or deep jungles of Kerala and Karnataka. It covers knowledge of medical plants and traditions from the vast deserts of Rajasthan, as well as from those of the agricultural settlements, and integrates cow-based medicine of Uttar Pradesh to coconut oil preparations from Sri Lanka. Most of the medical traditions have been handed over from generations of Vedyas, Ayurvedic doctors, to their offspring or students. Ayurvedic universities date even 3,000 years back. They hosted often hundreds of scholars. A devastating interruption of knowledge happened when the British colonialists forbid all Ayurvedic medical practice, closed universities, and forced India into retreat from its rich tradition. During this time, and nowadays even more, the attempt to translate Sanskrit or Arabic medical terms into English led to confusion of concepts and meaning. The concept of Sankhya. Sankhya philosophy is the namely most widely used concept in Ayurveda and classical yoga. The Sankhya material principle is therefore in some respects omnipresent in the religious tradition of Hinduism. From the book Prakrit and Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is only one of the hundreds of concepts but the embedment of Ayurveda as a number of different schools on yoga conceptualizes the major explanations from the creation of the universe to the formation of matter. In other words, Mahabhutas, often wrongly translated as elements because of their major solid figures. Nyaya and Vaisheshika hold that individual atoms of the four elements, air, fire, water, earth and space, time, direction, soul and mind, are the material substances, dravya, of the world. These are not reducible into more ultimate principle, such as Prakrit of Sankhya. For the materialist, Charvaka, the fundamental principles were the four gross elements, and these were also the substration of consciousness. In Sankhya and Yoga, Prakrit is the ultimate material principle, the primary material substratum of the world. It is the single substance of which the material constituents of divinities, humans, animals, and plants are transformations, and in which everything pre-exists in a subtle form. The material principle of Sankhya and Yoga became part of the analysis of reality in most of the Hindu religious systems and has been the most influential religious concept of material principle in the Hindu tradition, from Jacobson, 2002. The system of Sankhya describes subtle energies from emotional aspects of consciousness to gross aspects. The subtle, substantial aspects are the gunas, namely sattva, rajas, and tamas. The gunas and the doshas are key qualities for the treatment for disease prevention, a holistic view on the patient, and their relation to nature and the cycle of life. Explaining the three gunas. Sattva is a passive, tranquil state. It is quite stable, but not as tamas though, but stable enough to be flexible and adapt in order to maintain equilibrium. Tamas is the most inert aspect of the universe. Inertia also means stability, connectivity as well, while sattva is a peaceful state of mind and being that is detached. Tamas is elsewhere often translated in Western texts as passive in the sense of lazy, dull, uninspired, which might be a cultural misunderstanding. Western culture, quick changes and individualism are ideological preferred parameters, while in Eastern culture, stability is praised. Rajas is an aspect of dominance, guidance, and direction. It is the warrior aspect, the drive, the willpower, and the connection between sattva and tamas. It is the sperm penetrating the ovum, the seed. The three doshas in relation to the human body and their actions. The doshas are a complex system of understanding the world of matter and even beyond matter. They can be described as material as well as a momentum in time and space. Although in the West the system is often looked at as simplifying and unscientific, it reflects a highly refined system of understanding action, reaction inside the body, as well as interrelated action and reaction within the world and the person. The world as such includes not only all living beings, but describes the seasons as well as emotional, physiological appearance and modifications of interrelation of every human being. Shiv Sharma described the doshas as a physical, physiological, psychological, organic complex of phenomena. The above terminology reflects the multi-dividing pattern of Western scientific thinking through the descriptive analogy. While Ayurveda represents the idea of holistic treatment to understand the holistic approaches, Western scientists have to separate actions, form, matter, levels, mind and body. Professor Martin Midtwede writes in the Ayurveda, the fact alone that so many trials of interpretation are existing shows that the doshas are something that is not so easily to grasp and obviously like other sensus data. The forwarded explanations seem to be often more likely an expression of the scientific background of the author opposed to an explicit analysis of what the Ayurvedic classics actually intended with the terms dosha, vata, pitta, kapha. Vata, pitta and kapha are composed of the 5 basic natural qualities, often wrongly translated as element, but in Sanskrit we use the word mahabhutas. They display basic qualities that can be associated to their natural attributes. So the mahabhutas are Prithvi, earth, Ap or Jala, water, Agni or Tejas, fire, Vayu, air and wind, Akasha, space or ether translation. The Mahabhutas then appear in paired combinations as doshas. Prithvi, earth, and Jala, water, are the elementary form and function for Kapha dosha. Jala, water, and Agni, fire, are the elementary form and function for Pitta dosha. Vayu, air, and Akasha, space, are the elementary form and function for Vata dosha. The Mahabhutas form, shape, and qualify the doshas, so that Vayu and Akasha are the elements that together create Vata dosha, Jala and Tejas together create Pitta dosha, and Prithvi and Jala create Kapha dosha. The doshas are often translated as the constitution of a person, an object, a plant, or medicine. We're coming to the qualities of the 3 doshas. Vata dosha has the quality of dry, light, cold, rough, subtle, mobile, and clear. Pitta dosha contains the qualities of oily, sharp, penetrating, hot, light, mobile, and liquid. Kapha consists of the qualities of heavy, slow, cold, oily, slimy, smooth, dense, soft, static or stable, cloudy or sticky. The activity that can be observed is dual, in harmonious or disturbed pattern, Martin Midtwede states. Simplifying the concepts might allow a quicker overview of the concept of the doshas. Simplifying, of course, comes always with a risk. It might give the impression of a proto-scientific expertise, even of pseudoscience, which recent Wikipedia remarks from a wrong quotation. Wikipedia from 2020 quotes on Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an alternative medicine system with historical roots in the Indian subcontinent. The theory and practice of Ayurveda is pseudoscientific. The Indian Medical Association, IMA, characterizes the practice of modern medicine by Ayurvedic practitioners as quackery. We're now going to have an overview over the doshas and body types and mental and spiritual and sexual connotations. When we look at Vata, the body frame is thin, irregular, very short or very tall, while the Pitta body frame is medium, proportionate and toned. The Kapha body type, though, is heavy, broad and evenly proportioned. The hair of Vata tends to be dry, frizzy, thin and dark. Of Pitta, straight, fine, reddish, premature, balding or graying. While Kapha hair is oily, wavy, thick, black, brown or blonde. All these connotations are not concerned to any ethnic or racist interpretations. The appetite of the Vata person is irregular, of the Pitta person intense, of the Kapha person consistent. The stamina of a Vata-dominated person is poor and executive, of Pitta moderate but driven, and of Kapha excellent and endurant. The speech of a Vata person seems to be erratic and talkative, of a Pitta person decisive and articulate, of a Kapha person slow and cautious. The dreams of a Vata domination are dreams of flying. They're fearful and erratic. When Pitta is dominant, the dreams become fiery, violent or intense, and of Kapha they contain watery elements, they're sensual and are in long sequences. Maya Tiwari wrote 2010, "Our body type, which is determined at birth by genetic and karmic memory, is our constitutional nature, our prakrit. The human constitution or prakrit is comprised of all the three doshas. That means that each individual has within themselves the dynamic forces of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. The difference between individuals is the degree to which the three doshas interact with one another within each body type. Although each body type's ultimate reality is one of unison, it is essential to distinguish between the doshas in order to grasp the concept of the self, whose nature is both unified and whole. If this is not properly understood, individual differences will definitely be misunderstood. Essentially, the body type is merely adjectival to the endless list of attributes that make up a list of an individual. In other words, the individual is not the body type. However, the doshas are an impressive example of apparent adversaries which, because they are also capable of functioning at a level of absolute equilibrium, need not to be adversaries at all. The doshas are the basic concept in Ayurveda for explaining health and disease and finding ways to maintain or restore balance. The doshas define explicitly a holistic point of view with a clearly individualistic approach towards health and sickness. The uniqueness of each individual being is not a contradiction to the unity of all existence. The activities of the doshas governed by 20 gunas, not to be mistaken by the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, or qualities. These qualities are paired and opposites like hard and soft, cold and hot, rough and smooth, soft, etc. The 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, substantially incorporate all information about the unfolding of existence. In yoga practice, the longing for the reunion of the 2 primordial forces, Purusha as the individualized aspect of the original soul, and Prakrit, the primordial matter, is trying to reduce all the activity, karma, in order to find the purity and stillness before any creation took place. Sattva Samadhi. The dualistic explanations of Sankhya have to be transcended to overcome duality of life and death, mind and matter, in order to dissolve in until moksha or samadhi end the cycle of creation samsara.